nothing about it. Yeah. Oh boy.
Hey, are you Ian Nethercott, the host of the Autohub Show?
War is tough, but peace is about thinking ahead of the challenges and getting it done.
There are lots of experts in automotive who talk about the problems. The Autohub Show is all about solutions. Ready for the solutions? Let's get this masterclass started live right now.
If you look at the last 4 years, Ian, we've answered 41 million phone calls for dealers over the last 4 years with our AI platform. We've also handled over 150 million text messages. And so when you look at just those raw numbers, that's a 4-to-1, 3.5, 4-to-1 text to phone call. So I don't know. Here's what I can tell you, though. I believe that the customer wants to be met where they are presently. If that is text, voice, video call, if they want to be engaged and engaged instantly.
I've been fortunate enough to be using Numa since square one, but my opinion, I like to meet the customers where they are, because if I choose my preference in terms of how I want to communicate with people, I'm going to eliminate a large portion of my potential customers. The customer calls in from the outside. There doesn't have to be a person on the other side of the conversation, and it will be a transcribed, recorded transcription of the message, which is important, and it's real time, 365 days a year. So we don't lose anything. The customers that prefer the phone and the customers that prefer the text may be two different people, but the nice thing about like Numa as an example is you got both of those people in one spot.
Hey, I'm Vince Delmonico, General Sales Manager with Cruise Ford Lincoln. Larry Feldman came out and did one of our training courses. Absolutely incredible. I sat through the course myself. The engagement that our salespeople gained from it, the excitement that he brings, it was a new way of looking at things that we're already doing and how we can improve them. Love it. It's literally the best thing since sliced bread.
My name's Fareed Ahmed. I'm the founder and CEO of DSMA. So why should you use DSMA to sell your most valuable asset? The answer is very simple. It's our unparalleled approach to our clients' needs and satisfaction. Remember, DSMA, we're real people doing real deals.
Meta, Instagram, social, and your team is still waiting for ups like it's 1999. Let's be honest, your market isn't watching TV commercials, they're double tapping and engaging with your competitors on social media posts. People are shopping these days for cars and servicing their vehicles in between watching cat videos. That's where we can help. Retail Resilient is the go-to authority for social selling in the car industry. Whether you're a new car franchise dealer, an independent, a buy here, pay here, a broker, a dealership owner or manager, we have something for you. Remember, when your lot is quiet, it means your social media is not loud enough. Check us out at retailresilient.com so we can retarget you on our social media feeds.
Good morning, or good morning, Vietnam. Anyway, it is what it is. So obviously we got NADA chaos this week, and obviously month end simultaneously. And the show is about parts, which is actually one of my favorite departments because I think there's a lot of opportunity in parts. But more importantly, I see a lack of activity in the parts side because I think in a lot of cases, at least most of the guys I work with when I sold cars, were afraid of selling a car and then selling parts on top of it because they were worried that would upset the apple cart. But also the parts department sometimes is in the back corner somewhere. But we had Doug Reeves on first. So Doug, I know you're going to be with Amazon there at NADA. I guess my question for you is, what do you introduce yourself, talk a little bit about what you're doing with Amazon, but also I'm assuming Amazon sells parts with cars, right? When they do the A to Z sync process?
Well, all right. So Doug Reeves, A to Z sync tech partner for Amazon Autos. We're a soup to nuts all-in-one sales platform for dealerships. On Amazon, if the accessory is already on the car, then and it's an add-on, then it'll be disclosed on Amazon. But as far as upsells, no. Amazon has a whole big Amazon Autos section where they sell parts through that. So kind of not aligned with A to Z Sync. But to your point, at A to Z, when we developed our technology, one of the things that we made sure a point of doing was having a point during a sales presentation when accessories would be offered to the customer. Okay. What we found was when we asked dealers, and obviously this directly affects parts, when we asked dealers, how is your upsell and accessories? They basically said, we really don't have a process. The vast majority of the stores we talked to would say that, or if they did, they go, it just wasn't that good. What we found was when we were able to have them customize some sort of an accessory presentation, when it became a step in the sale, and basically the logic was the salesperson develops a relationship with the customer. Together they pick out a vehicle. They help the customer pick out the right vehicle. Now that the customer's agreed this is the vehicle that's right for them, the salesperson would then make it their vehicle by personalizing it by saying, earlier you mentioned X, Y, and Z, we should take a look at this kind of stuff. In doing so, we saw roughly a $400 to $500 per car lift in accessory sales, just adding that step. I think the biggest issue dealers do is they don't even try. From what I understand, and there's probably people smarter than me on this call, but from what I understand, it comes down to two things primarily. One, they don't even try, or two, there's a war between parts and sales as to who's going to charge how much they're going to be charged, and how they're going to make the numbers work. And as a result, since there's a war and it's a civil war, they just say the hell with it, nobody wins, and that's what happens. So those are my thoughts. Loaded up a lot there. Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, when you look at the automotive manufacturers' websites today, and I was actually on one last week just out of curiosity, they're trying now to sell, extended warranties and parts on their website. I don't know how successful they are at it, but clearly they're trying to put that in play. And I know we've had, Russell on with his accessories, parts, and service coupons, and that's an amazing platform if you haven't checked it out. But Larry, I know parts are part of what you do in terms of introducing this, teaching salespeople, introduce people to the parts department. What's your opinion on part sales? Do you think that we could do a better job?
We could do a way better job. I deal with certain dealers that they accentuate selling, additional things, accessories, to the point where they almost exclude anything else. Because let's face it, so many dealers are working from the bottom up, from invoice or below. So it used to be, well, we may do it on the back end with the financing, but a lot of these folks that are smart are realizing that when you can capitalize on the accessories, changing the vehicle a little bit. Doug's really going to nod his head when I say, look at the profit that RV dealers have. Because there are things that you really can't quantify instantly in your own mind and say, yeah, this is the cost there. There are dealers all over the country. I do a little business with Fred Beams. This guy has made a fortune on, I think he's the biggest Ford Mustang parts dealer in the United States. There's profit there. But just like with every other aspect of the dealership, if the department isn't run properly, if they're not on top of what their inventory is, if there's cobwebs on some of the parts, if they're not paying attention to what they're stocking and how they're turning it, you could run into trouble. But I think we need to look for profit anywhere we possibly can. And let's face it, we're a society that loves their vehicles, right? I mean, it's snowing now and it's miserable, but in the summer, you'll see guys outside washing their car or their truck. I don't think you see them giving their 14-year-old kid a bath. But there's a love affair with vehicles, and to make your vehicle different, make it exceptional, make it more interesting, whether you're adding bigger wheels, whether you're adding a different a spoiler, a change of a front grille. If you're smart, you'll maximize your accessories, you'll maximize your parts. But let's face it, you're all going to nod your head again. I just got done training a bunch of people in Florida, and I still see people not giving mandatory service walks when they're trying to sell a car. So if we don't understand that we need every part of this business to stand tall, we're in trouble.
So,
You know,
so
it's
what have
interesting
you?
that
But
you
what
said
have
that.
you? What have you seen that's good though? I mean, I know that there's a lot of problems there, but when I look at Harley Davidson as a brand, or when I look at Scion as a historic brand, the whole thing was customizing your vehicle. But go ahead, Doug.
Oh no, I was gonna kind of dovetail on what Larry said. One of the things that's neat about what Amazon's doing is, since the customer basically does the entire purchase online,
Mhm.
and they just merely go to the store to take delivery, the delivery person, the Amazon advisor that handles the deal,
Mhm.
all they really have to do is have them sign whatever documents may require what signature, but introducing the parts, introducing the service, and what we're seeing is there's a
podcast. That's why I couldn't take your call. That's on my phone. What's up?
what we're
Go ahead.
seeing is a higher percentage of customers that bought online on Amazon are now doing their service on that at that store because that was the focus. They didn't have to focus on anything else. So it is interesting though, if you pay a little attention to it, how much it really makes sense.
Well, what I also noticed on my app for my car, it's got service and parts offers now as something where they're the OEM's trying to sell directly on the app for that manufacturer, which I thought was really interesting. But Peter, what do you think?
Well, you know, I want to just go back to what Larry said for a second about the walk, you know, the service walk. It's amazing to me. In a lot of stores I was in, and I actually said to one, why don't you do it? It's, oh, well, we just hate the service department, so we don't even bother bringing our people back there. I'm like, that's just a terrible situation. I hear more than once with dealers about that problem. But parts is a critical component, but everybody is missing it. The only ones like Doug said, it does it properly is the RV industry, because they have it and they've got those rooms set up. So you buy your RV and they walk you over and they got this big showroom. And it's got the grills and it's got the connectors and it's got the hoses and it has the chairs and the tents and the little port. I mean, they literally have everything. They even have the carpet that you roll out. They do a phenomenal job because they showcase it. And that's the area where I think the dealers are making a mistake, because like Larry was saying, everybody wants to dial up their car and make it better and make it look nicer, but you have to give them that opportunity. One of the things I'm looking forward to seeing at the convention is, because they're talking about the technology changing with this IVR and this VR stuff, and also this where they can do it virtually, because it is kind of hard to have a bunch of displays for every vehicle and what you can put on the Mustang, what you can put on, you know, the pickup truck. But if you can do it virtually, which I think is coming in the future through this AI and all this new technology, where you can sit down and now you've got your beautiful Mustang and you want to change out the wheels, you can change out the wheels. And here's what it's going to look like. If you want to tint the windows, because the end of the day is all that stuff can be added on to the F&I contract. Because you know, and I know, they're leaving the dealership and they're going down the street to Pep Boys and they're buying all that stuff. Right. They're ordering it on Amazon and putting it on themselves.
Well, just look at
have the dealer sell it.
Well, just look at the Ferrari website. I'm not saying Ferrari is an example for everybody, but when you look at the customization just on their website, the stuff that can be customized, or Porsche for another brand. But more importantly, I was at a dealer years ago where they had a separate process. So you'd buy the car, then you go talk to an accessories guy that all he did was sell accessories, you know, factory or aftermarket, whatever. And then you'd go to finance. So while you were waiting anyway, they implemented a new process, which was basically like an in the showroom parts accessory sale. It was really interesting. But you had some thoughts, Doug?
I had that in the past at a store, and the problem was, and actually, while that makes sense on paper, if you think about today's market, you may kill yourself doing that, because I agreed to the car, and we know payments are an issue with everybody. What happened in this store was they went to accessories, got excited, bought accessories. By the time they went to F&I, they were tapped out. And they had no more room in their payment. They're like, I can't afford anything else. And finance took the beating on that. That's why I think that and it's interesting, Peter, you brought up the point of the RV dealer. What an RV dealer does, one, they sell fun. They don't, nobody has to buy an RV. They get to buy an RV. So, but the other thing is they create the picture in their mind of, here's where you are using it. Here, you know, you're at this place. So they created in the customer's head, here's what it'll look like. What all do you want? I don't think that dealers do a good enough job with the cars when they're selling cars, saying, how are you going to use the car?
Hello.
What are your hot buttons? I mean, Larry, as you said, I mean, every time I go to a parts department, and it's infrequent anymore, there's always something there's like, ooh, that'd be cool to have. There's a ton of that'd be cool to haves in a parts department that if the salesperson just took the time to introduce the customer and show them things, they would get some sales. And if they wouldn't today, a smart follow-up program would be doing it, in the future. I don't know why parts departments don't do a massive advertising the 1st of December saying, you looking for Christmas gifts for that hard to buy person? Come to the parts department. This is something that no one's going to think of, but they're going to love.
Yeah. Have you ever seen though, like a parts department in a showroom that isn't in the back corner? Like I'm just looking for examples of something that's well executed. I mean, Larry, you're in a lot of stores. Have you seen like an example of parts actually being spotlighted or focused on in the service department?
Only in, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Only in stores that are smart. And as to Peter's comment where the folks said they hate service, I always quote Einstein. He said, they asked him the difference between genius and stupidity, and he said, genius has its limits. There's no cap on the stupidity of someone that realizes that if you don't keep them in the service department or have them come back, you're eventually going to lose a chance to earn their business. So sure, listen, Ian, you've been in stores. I still see stores that don't have a tire display or don't make it clear that we can change your oil for the same expense as the outside stores. Again, this is not an easy environment. I think 2026 is going to be a great year, but we get competition courtesy of Mr. Reeves' partner, Amazon. We've got competition from CarMax. We've got competition everywhere. We have to be looking for every possible way to keep our customers super happy and to produce profits, or we're not going to be in business.
Well, let's be clear, Larry. Amazon is not a competitor. Amazon is simply a site where dealers get to list their vehicles and sell them at their price. We are not a competitor. They're the biggest ally they have.
No, Doug, I was referring to not with the dealership. I was talking about me and Jeff Bezos. I'm so tired of him calling me and asking to borrow money. Jeff, not now. I'm busy. I'm on the phone with Bill Gates. I'm trying to work something out.
You did bring up an interesting point. All signs seem to point that this is going to be a challenging year for dealers. I mean, margins are continuing to shrink, all the crap. Well, you would think that the thoughtful dealers would look at something like parts and say, this is an untapped profit center that I should be paying attention to and get a little bit creative. I have no idea who the vendors are that work with parts departments. I mean, we know the vendors that work with F&I, and we know the vendors that work with sales and all that. Who works with parts department? Who's out there putting ideas in dealers' heads and saying, this is what you should be doing? I mean, help me out here, guys.
Well, there's a great company.
The stepchild, and it's embarrassing.
Yeah. There's a great company that was supposed to be on the show today. I guess he's tied up with ADA, but it's called Revolution Parts. And of course, there's our buddy Russell Hill. But the thing that's interesting about Revolution Parts, if you haven't seen an implementation, is what they do is they actually have an out-of-the-box parts department that's similar to Amazon, but specifically for parts for that OEM. So the OEM doesn't have to overthink it, because in a lot of cases, when you look at the parts side of any dealer website, there's just nothing there. It's like the cobwebs go to die. And that's also true when you look at a dealership. Like, it's always in the corner somewhere. There's a guy behind a counter, sometimes with one of those ding bells from like hotels back in 1980. But there just isn't a focus on it. So the reason I bring it to attention, it was easy when someone walked into a service department who's waiting for their car to maybe hear about parts accessories offers, or hear about the benefits of an OEM part, or hear about why they should do that. Or maybe even, I don't know, a parts sale when you have too many of something. Or maybe doing an inventory saying, hey, I've got all this, custom order parts that someone ordered that they didn't pick up. Maybe I could sell them to somebody who's interested. So it's kind of an afterthought. It's kind of like you're at a restaurant and the guy's not selling the mushrooms for the steak. He's just going, well, no one wants that. They just want the steak.
The other problem, Ian, too, answering the question is, dealers don't assign any advertising dollars to service or parts. It's ridiculous. And I think that's part of the reason why they just sit there and they really don't do much, is because they don't have any of the tools they need. I mean, I've seen over the years, different software platforms will come out and they're able to list parts and do the thing like you talked about. Like if you've got out-of-date parts, there's always a mark for older parts, for some of the older parts. But the dealers, when they go to sell it, and those companies always struggle because no one wants to spend the money, number one, to do it. And then they don't have the resources to go out and actually do the marketing. And that's where I think it's a huge mistake And it goes back to the other part too, is they don't allocate any room in the dealership. They don't have the room, and they don't have these displays because, quite frankly, the parts department really didn't have any room. You know, they're literally stuck over right by the cashier, and if you're lucky, you got enough room there. You put up a couple of displays and for some key fobs and things like that. But parts is a profit center that's grossly missed, I think.
Yeah, the question would be, and I'd be curious, if you looked at the most successful dealerships that have a thriving parts department, what is the profit per square foot in that department versus service department versus sales? It'd be interesting to find out how those numbers shook out.
Well, if you look at big stores that actually sell parts at scale, and I've been in a few. I was in a Toyota store. I've been in a couple BMW stores. Even Porsche's somewhat good at this. So what they do is they have like a little boutique in the store where they're like, the t-shirt, the hat, the different accessories are at least on display because they know people are there waiting for their car anyway. And then if they're really smart, what they do is they put up a screen instead of playing the bad news on television, they put parts specials on there, or detail specials or service specials where it's playing in a loop, so they can say, hey, it's wintertime, it's snowing out, you might want some, I don't know, all-weather mats for your car, we got this special going on. So they're really just bombarding that customer with options, but more importantly, they're browsing around anyway, because otherwise they're sitting and drinking coffee. What if you had in the coffee machine on top of it a monitor, because they're getting coffee anyway, saying, hey, this is what our specials are right now on service and parts. I mean, it would make a lot of sense. And then maybe a sign like, go here to talk to someone, or maybe even a representative, right?
So let me ask you a question. The stores that were uber successful in selling parts.
Yep.
Are they uber successful selling in retail, or have they developed a massive wholesale parts department that's killing it? And oh, by the way, they sell some retail.
Well,
there's a big difference.
I got a couple examples for you. So I was actually hoping to have one of the dealers on in Northern California today. He actually operates a separate parts site for Mitsubishi parts. And we all know Mitsubishi is not the biggest brand in the world, but because he's put the effort in and actually put, parts online, he's selling them. But more importantly, he's selling them for older Mitsubishis. Obviously, Harley Davidson sells a lot of parts because it's a seasonal business. So when it's not in season, they're selling accessories, whether it be shirts, t-shirts, accessories for the motorcycles. I think BMW and Porsche are successful because they've kind of got that brand cachet. So if you're ever in a Porsche store, you'll notice they have Porsche design stuff. So whether it be a golf club thing or a t-shirt or whatever, but there's nothing to say you couldn't do the same thing with a Jeep dealer or a Ford dealer or a Chevrolet dealer. They all sell branded merchandise. They all sell branded accessories. But to Peter's point, let's just say I'm looking at a set of all-weather mats, and I'm looking at companies that sell that, Pep Boys or online or whatever. Why would I buy that mat made by the manufacturer versus those other mats? So to your point with the wholesale, I think part of the challenge there is the parts people who have a job to do spend most of their time selling wholesale to third-party shops or to other car dealers. They don't really focus on, what if a customer calls in and wants a part, or what do we have in stock that maybe we can sell? There's no real offer or budget, but more importantly, there's not a focus on it. It's not like the parts manager comes in every day and goes, okay, we got to make this profitable in parts, Larry. How much square footage are you going to give me to display the parts? Right? They just don't have that conversation. And I think
what's interesting though is in the scenario that you just painted and the examples you gave, one was Harley Davidson, which we all know. I mean, I used to do business with Harley Davidson dealers. If you had a piece of shit with a Harley Davidson logo on it, you could sell it for $150. I mean, it was crazy, right? So that's its own separate entity. The next thing you listed was like BMW, Porsche, things like that. Well, those are kind of exclusive brands where somebody wants to probably flash their, I'm a Porsche guy, I have a Porsche. But for the mainstream guy, the Nissan, Toyota, Chevy, Ford guy, that's to me is where the biggest missing is like those guys, there's no cachet to owning a Ford. All right. It's not like, oh, I'm so special because I got a Ford and all of that. I think that it's the mainstream people that are just totally missing it for whatever reason.
Yeah, but if you're a Ford customer and you went into a Ford dealer and they actually had some cool stuff you could buy, you're proud of your Ford. Why wouldn't you buy that? The same is true of Jeep.
What percentage of people are really, really as proud of their Ford as they are of their Porsche?
Yeah. The other problem that we're dealing with the like a Ford. I was in a lot of Ford stores. Ford has a site where they sell aftermarket parts like stair steps, all the different things like this, bedliners, and their prices are well below the dealer's price. So they were actually competing with the dealers. And I actually was at one store, and the dealer showed me, said, look, the guy wanted to buy this. I told him, okay, you're going to buy it through Ford? Then have Ford put it on for you. Because for what they're willing to pay me to actually do the work to put that on, I'm losing money. So not only am I losing money selling you the product, now I'm going to lose money installing it. So if you want to buy it from Ford, go buy it from Ford direct. You're going to have to find someplace else to put it on your truck.
Oh yeah, Larry, you had a comment on the parts side. Are you proud of your Ford lately?
Well, if you think I'm a musician, and I can't tell you when we play a show how many people come up and say, "Ooh, can I buy a shirt?" Or can I? Harley Davidson is a classic case. Doug, you're right. People that have a Porsche or BMW, man, they love to make it clear to everybody, I have a Porsche or a BMW.
Right.
It's like everything else. If you can make people enthusiastic about your product, then you should make them an advocate for you. Peter, you'll love this because you're a marketing wizard. While I was in Florida, I picked up 5 new deals. I didn't call them. I didn't set myself on fire and run around their house. They reached out to somebody else and said, man, I need a recruiter. I'll call Feldman.
No.
Repeat and referral is everything. It changes the dynamic of how at what percentage we close, at what profits we close at. If people have their car, second biggest investment they'll ever make, a lot of them would be proud to wear a shirt that says Ford, Honda, Chevy. And let me tell you something. You said Ford. The people that are Ford people or Chevy people, they're insane about their product.
Yeah.
Their father drove them, their grandfather drove them, they're driving them. So once again, it's a matter of how you market. You, Peter, let me just jump back onto what you said. Not only is it insanely stupid to say you hate service, but I have people that I say, listen, I really want to see you do better. You're going to be here 8 hours today, right? Yeah. Do you ever ask about the orphan files? That's too much of a headache. Do you ever go back into service? It's too much. It's real simple. My philosophy's always been, it's how I made all my money and how I teach people to make money. If you want to be a bum and go on unemployment, go ahead. Ian, both our countries are very liberal with letting people, be lazy and stupid. Not sure why, but we are.
Yeah.
But if you're going to go to work, work. How cool is it everybody on this call to look at your watch, your iPhone, your computer and go, man, I can't believe it's time to wrap up. The day blew by.
Yeah.
So once again, let's get people enthused. And if we're enthused, why wouldn't they want it? Plus, it's amazing how the little things mean something to somebody. We used to do little gold keychains with a Cadillac emblem on it. Man, I sold my store. We're talking 14, 15 years ago. I still have people telling me, oh, I still have the keychain. So I think it's a matter of being smarter about how we market ourselves. But once again, Peter's the media expert. Peter, how many times do you hear owners brag about their culture? And it's because they never called to make a service appointment, or they never sent somebody in to talk to the salesperson.
Yeah.
Last thing on this, and I'll jump off.
Yeah.
Peter, I had a really big class, if you saw my my pictures on LinkedIn, in Florida. And I sent everybody out. One guy couldn't make it. He had to go right to his job, to mystery shop. Simplest mystery shop of all time. I always tell them to look for a car. It's for their sister who just had a baby. If they're 55, it's their daughter that just had a baby. And I teach them before I send them out that everything you talk about that isn't about money makes you money. What a great conversation. Oh, forget about the car. Tell me about the baby. Boy or a girl, is it her first, which is also a business question. First time being an uncle or an aunt. Nope. No matter where they went, they got the same thing. Why isn't she here? What's her credit like? Tell her to look online. So we basically don't understand, and I'm sorry about this, guys. I'm quoting my own book. They're not annoyances, they're annuities. Yep. We want to get them enthused and excited. And once they have it, why wouldn't they be proud of their vehicle? They got a monthly payment. They wrote a check. If you're going to spend all that dough, why wouldn't you be excited about it? And the marketing tools are great. Parts, service, body, whatever the heck it is, you should wear it proudly all over your forehead. And apparently we don't. I always say there's no such thing as an ex-Marine. They're Marines till they die, and they wear those
That's right.
colors together. So we should be just as forthcoming. Peter, you've never been around me in person. I'm just as crazy in person. But Ian will tell you, no matter who I talk to, when I'm in Ian's presence, I always tell him about career changes and about me and ask them if they need. Why wouldn't you?
Exactly.
If you don't ask, the answer is always no. And if you don't market, hey, Doug, have you ever seen this at a dealership? I've seen it 1,000 times. The manager has to pull two guys apart from a fist fight. What? I mean, hey, what are you guys doing? I'm going to kill him. He stole my customer. What happened? He stole my neighbor a car. Well, does your neighbor know you're in the business? That's not important. That's the only thing that's important. All about marketing. We should emphasize service, parts, sales, every damn thing. And the fact that we don't is shame on us. But I think we'll all agree all dealers seem to focus more on sales than they do on service and parts. And God knows why. I'm not smart enough to figure that one out.
Well,
would you guys agree that usually the most tenured manager in the store is the parts manager? He kind of sits there and just keeps cruising by.
Yeah.
No one ever expects much out of him.
Yeah, but Doug, that's only because
next thing you know, it's like
because
he's
the
been
manager's
firing. He's
afraid to
been
go
with us
back
for
and fire
4 years.
Well, I was
part-
just at this store. I was just at this store that I worked at 15 years ago. I was in Vancouver. The partsmen there, some of them have been there 35, 40 years. This parts manager, he's been there probably 30 years. But the thing that was interesting wasn't that. So when I got there, he was having a secret meeting with the service director because she's trying to figure out how she can get revenue. But the thing that really, I think, stuck in my head as I was listening to Larry talk about parts and different things. I don't know if you've ever been to a Walmart or your favorite supermarket, but most of these supermarkets now they have a weekly special. So they have something that the cashier has to talk about. Oh, yeah, while you're here, did you want to get like a quart of oil or did you want to get some windshield wiper blades? I mean, that little thing at the end of that process or during that process. Oh, it's wintertime. Most people change their wiper blades. I mean, there's little upsells there that are really just suggestion. Like a lot of the customers like you do this. So I think that's another way to do it. But I agree with you.
Ian, ask any parts counter person.
Yeah.
Parts counter person if they have business cards.
Probably not.
Absolutely. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you want to be able to, hey, by the way, if you ever need parts or accessories, I'll get you a special deal.
I don't think I've ever seen it. I think every time I got a parts card, I think I've asked for it, if I remember correctly.
Well, that's also the problem with not making it clear that everybody should always get a card and they should get it right away, not later on in the process.
Understood. But like, so if you are to move from your current job, Larry, or Doug, or Peter, into being a parts manager, and I know that the expectations are low, but if you decided you wanted to be the new generation of parts manager, what would you do differently in 2026? Like, how would you change that result or that activity? What would you do?
I'll throw it out to the masses first because I have an idea, but I'll wait and hear what everybody else says.
Go ahead, Peter.
What's the question again?
If you graduated into being a parts manager, and we all know the expectations are low and you don't have a business card, how would you generate revenue for the parts department? More importantly, make it stand out a little bit better at dealerships, the dealer that you're working for, and drive more revenue? How would you do that?
Again, it goes back to what I said earlier. You can't do much without a budget. So first thing I do is I go to the owner and say, hey, I need a little budget. Here's what I'm going to do. Or worst case scenario, I would ask them to start including some parts specials on the standard advertising. Dealers are always doing advertising, but if you can get them even to give you a little bit of space on whatever they're doing advertising wise, doing that. But I would literally start a Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn for parts and focus on that where we're talking about parts and go out there and start building those and having events and specials on my social media channels that are for the dealership's parts department.
Interesting. Larry, what would you do if you graduated to being a parts manager in the back with a business card? I think
Who'd you ask?
Larry.
Who'd you ask? Larry?
Larry, you there? I think he's frozen. Go ahead, Doug.
Yeah. Well, I think the first thing I would do is I would bring every employee that's on the sales side or whatever into the parts department and educate them on here's what parts is, here's how we work. I would accessorize every vehicle that we have that I could with things that would be helpful.
Yeah.
I love the idea that Peter had about, run your own social media program and your own social media campaign about, hey, don't forget about the parts department. maybe come up with some witty thing that makes it kind of an ongoing episode of Adventure in Parts World or whatever. But I think in general, what I would try to do is create an awareness both in the store and with the customers about we're not just lug nuts and oil filters and things of that nature. Look, there's a lot of things here. Like I said, I don't know why they don't market to their existing owners in November for Christmas gifts. I mean, you're always looking for something. So yeah, I think I just get a little bit more creative that way.
And you could also look at, let's just say people bought a truck or an SUV and they didn't get accessories. You could definitely follow up with those people and go, hey, a lot of people who buy this truck, they get step bars, they get a towing package, they get different things. You know, I'm just curious, why didn't you do that? Was it not offered to you? Was it a price thing? Those kind of things. But more importantly, we know that sometimes F&I doesn't sell things like extended warranties or prepaid maintenance. I mean, it's an opportunity to add some savings for parts or accessories that maybe they didn't get, it wasn't offered to them. But more importantly, it's a thought starter for other things, right? That they're just not paying attention to.
I think I would definitely keep accessories and parts out of F&I and make sure that it's a front end thing.
Yeah.
But I also think that it would become incumbent, and this is utopian, but I'm from Boulder, Colorado, so I can spew it forever. It would become incumbent upon the salespeople to determine not only what they're looking for, but why they're looking for it, how they're going to use it. And they must come to the desk with, here's how they're going to use it that we can equate to, then here's things we can do to enhance their ownership experience beyond F&I. It should be a requirement.
Yeah, I mean,
I've got an idea to tag on what you're saying that I thought of when you were talking about this.
Yeah.
Every dealership is sending a follow-up after someone purchases a car. They're all doing their follow-up marketing. They've got all this messaging already set up in their CRM or whatever they're using. Have them include a special offer for parts. Congratulations, Mr. Jones, on your purchase of your new F-150. By the way, because you're now a valid member or a valued member of our family, here's a special coupon. So if you decide you want anything from our parts department, accessorize your truck, take 25% off or whatever like that. And include that in all their follow-up messaging to the customers as part of their customer communications.
Yeah. What about a quarterly smart message? Yeah.
The way AI is, they could, with the inputs that could be given, AI could customize that message to what the customer told the salesperson. So it'd be like, you know what, here, Peter, we're going to give you 25% off of bike racks and bike accessories because you're a big biker. And somebody else is going to be, all with them at, so that it's more customized to them and it resonates with them.
That's awesome.
Well, just think about the fact that when you buy something, whether it's on Amazon or Walmart or any online store, they say, hey, do you want to sign up for a newsletter? What if you had a parts part of your newsletter? What if you had seasonal parts offers? What if you had things like, hey, we notice you're you can even segment it out to the type of vehicle and say, hey, a lot of people who buy this vehicle are going to buy this. But the other thing, which I think is an epic miss, is we know people are keeping cars longer than ever. Cars are expensive. They're keeping them 5 to 7 years. There's nothing to say you couldn't go back into those customers that have, say, a 3 to 5 year old vehicle and say, hey, I know that when you bought that vehicle, you didn't buy accessories for it. Have you found a solution there? Or do you want to take advantage of, some of the offers we got on parts? Because you can buy parts for vehicles that are, I think, 5 to 10 years old. So you can still get a lot of those parts. Larry?
Yeah, and basically tell them that, is it time to make your old car look new again? Come see us instead of, look, we know you're not going to buy a new car because you can't afford it. So let's make your old car look new to you. Come on in. We'll help you out for $400. You can get the X, Y, Z, A, B, and C. Boom. It looks new to everybody else. Bam. Let's roll.
Yeah. Larry, you have any thoughts there?
Yeah. I think I like what Doug said and what Peter said. What we did, because we closed, the service department was union, and at 5 o'clock they were out of there. We got pictures of everybody and would hand out a printout in case you came afterwards, so we could introduce you and say, hey, these guys are going to call you in the morning. But once again, on the service walk, what would be wrong with walking by service and saying, these are the nice folks who are going to work on your car? They do the same price for tires and oil changes. And by the way, you don't void your warranty because we're using all factory parts. And if you need any accessories, these are the nicest parts people on earth. It's just a matter of just bringing it to mind, just bringing the consciousness to the front, because it's amazing as human beings how many things we're not aware of. And then when we are, like a little light bulb goes on over our head. So
let me ask you this, Larry, and you're in stores all the time. I'm certainly not anymore, but what would preclude a parts manager from coming out and introducing himself to the customer as opposed to having the customer have to go back to parts? I mean, are they so busy that they couldn't walk out when a customer's closing and say, hey, congratulations on your car. I'm Doug, the parts manager. Got a lot of ways to customize your car. Love to talk to you about it sometime, and just here's my card.
No, your point is incredibly well taken. Was I just left a guy. I'll tell you his name. I'm not hiding anything. His name is T-E-E. And I told him I love him. This is after he told me he loved me. Don't worry, it wasn't getting romantic. It's every single person that I interviewed that I liked. I ran up to him and said, you got a minute? And you know what he said? Sure do. Didn't roll his eyes, didn't give me the I'm too busy excuse. Once in a while, if you noticed a couple times I jumped off the call today, I wasn't being rude, I'm making deals with people. But I still wasn't too busy to talk to a prospective customer, and I'm never too busy to talk to Ian, Doug, or Peter. If you use the excuse as the ultimate crutch, oh, I'm busy. Busy doing what? And how damn busy can you be? We all have the same time in the day. So if you have a manager that thinks the way Doug thinks, because Doug's 100% correct, you're in great shape. But it's strictly the attitude, and it starts with the fact that we spend a lot more time on variable than we do on fixed. And it's sad, Doug, because variable, they make you jump through a million hoops. They can build the right cars, they cannot build the right cars. They cannot build enough navigation systems in. They can limit you with inventory. They can restrict lease programs. But fixed ops is fixed ops. People need the cars, they need the parts, they need the repairs. It's the most solid foundation thing we have, and you would think the way we treat it, it's the worst thing that we have, rather than the steadies. Hey, remember COVID? Crazy as that whole thing was, what was the one thing they deemed essential? Service. Mm-hmm. So for us not to understand it's essential to our bottom line and to continue to function the way we do, Ian, if you ever want to make a dealer, and this is myself in my old days included, make them sick, make them throw up, make them jump off a window, show them the amount of business they lose out of fixed operations.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And we only want to talk about the statistics after the warranty's over. Then the percentage rate of drop off is scary. But if we were a little smarter about enveloping the people, maybe things would make it a little bit easier for us.
Yeah, I mean, you look at that show King of Cars. I don't know if you remember that show from the
I
think Vegas. It was the 90s. Yeah. So what they did is they had not only accessories on cars, they had their own accessories. So it was like, the King of Cars package or whatever that was, and it was a little over the top, but they were working with their market. But guaranteed, they had people who said, "Hey, yeah, that's what I want on my car," even whether or not they bought that one. But go ahead, Peter.
But Ian, remember on last week's show, we had one of our guests, and they were talking about the amount of customers that dealers are losing when it comes time for tires.
Yeah,
they're not selling tires. I mean, the number was like over 30% defection. I forgot what, but it was a big number. But think about this: we're talking about displays, and Doug brought it up. Dealers have a lot of room in the service drive, and they're all enclosed. They lock at night. Why not have your tire display in the service drive with maybe a big sign? Buy 3 get 1 free, whatever their special is, and start showcasing the tires on the service drive. You solve two problems. Number one is you start marketing tires. Number two, you also help the dealing with the retention that they're losing, where people are going out to these independent tire shops.
Or maybe a TV where you have a tire expert, whether it's from your dealership or from a manufacturer, saying, "Hey, you're looking at a new set of tires. Congratulations. Did you want some information on tires? Press here for information on winter tires. Press here for information on summer tires. Tire wear, tire maintenance, why you should get it installed, alignment." I mean, just informing the customer about things. Like I go to a gym and they have a recovery room and they've got all this information on what these different things do. I haven't watched most of it, but it's there. It's almost like something you'd see at a science center or something. It's like an informational touchscreen that has little videos on different things. But imagine if you said, "Hey, the big thing in our neighborhood is, roof racks. Well, why should you buy a roof rack that's a manufacturer's? What weight can you put on it? How does that work? If you're loading it, what does that look like?" And there's nothing to say you couldn't have those videos on your website and share those with customers. I mean, customers want something when they see the value in it. And I always think of the Apple Store. Imagine if the Apple Store had nothing on display. You just walked in and there was a counter. What can I help you with today, Peter? you want a computer. Okay, let me see if I got it in stock. I mean, that's pretty much what we're doing in the parts department. There's a counter.
Though, when you talk about tires, and it's funny because I'm gonna need to replace tires on my car soon.
Yeah.
You know the reason why I don't go to a dealership to get my tires? It's not price. It's because my feeling is I got a tire place right around the corner. And I can literally just pull up right now and say, hey, I need a set of 4, and I'll have it done in like 45 minutes and I'm out of there.
Yeah.
And my perception at the dealership is, 1, I got to drive to the dealership. 2, probably need to make an appointment. Gonna have to hang out. It's like, it's not as convenient.
Yeah.
They got proved to the consumer that it's convenient and easy on tires, let alone any part. You can just come in, grab it, we'll put it on, go.
Yeah.
As opposed to going to, all the various parts stores that exist out there.
But if they set that up when you're in service, not for tires, but for something else, saying, listen, you need tires that cost, no appointment necessary. We have these in stock. Just call us or just show up. If they hadn't promoted that, then you wouldn't think that way. You'd be going like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. That's why I don't come here for tires. So next time maybe I'll give them a shot. But to Larry's point, if you look at the biggest reason people defect at a car dealership in terms of service, it's tire sales. Because once they buy tires somewhere else, some of them never go back because they're embarrassed when they come back because they know it's on file that you were due for tires, right? Because then every time you go in, they're looking at the tires with those scanners or whatever going, oh, you got 30 seconds left or whatever that number is. But more importantly, and this is to your point, maybe that tire expert knows a little bit more about tires than the dealer. Maybe the service writer isn't trained. Maybe the parts guy doesn't have the right one in stock. I mean, I was at that dealer in LA. They didn't have any tires in stock. And I remember talking to the parts director and he goes, yeah, we can get them. I said, how long does that take? He goes, 45 minutes. So not only does the guy have to learn how to sell the tires you don't have, he then has to make excuses why the customer has to wait 45 minutes for the tires to arrive and then wait to have them installed. Like what confidence does that drive? Not a lot, right? That's the challenge. But especially as you look at longer ownership term, and especially when you look at things like EVs, those things go through tires. So if I'm buying a Ford F-150 Lightning or pick your electric, the plus side for a dealer is the tire sales on those. Not only are the tires more expensive, you're going to wear them out faster because of the weight of the vehicle. So I wonder if dealers who sell electric cars are really maximizing that. Are they calling the customer and realizing that it's a shorter, tire usage? I don't know. I highly doubt it, but that's just my opinion. So what should you do first? If you're a dealer today and you're going, hey, I got to maximize my service department. Car sales are not what they were last year, or I'm worried about it, or tariffs or whatever. Where would you start fixing service? Like, what would you do first? Larry?
I would, I'm a freak for sales service meetings where you bridge the gap, that big wall that's between the two departments. And a lot of times, Peter, the guy that says they hate service, it's because they don't know the service people. And their perception of service is a bunch of guys with rags in their back pocket that never have the car ready. And their perception of sales is a bunch of guys in shirts and ties that could care less, about anything except themselves. But if you get a bunch of people in the same room and they realize they're all rowing in the same direction and they're all helping each other and they may actually like each other, go there. We did a contest that involved not sales. We split the dealership up into 3 teams. Each team had salespeople, office people, body shop people, service people, and parts people. And all of a sudden, guys that didn't know each other, didn't like each other, were best friends because they were competing to get a little bit of money and the acknowledgement. It's strictly a matter of getting the people together. Then you combine Doug's ideas and Peter's ideas. When you buy a car, you get a little folder of information. What's wrong with having what you guys said? Having a thing that says special tire buy, special incentive to parts. But, forget the neurolinguistic programming. You don't have to worry about kinesthetic or audio. It's always visual. Unless you're a mechanic and you're kinesthetic, and even those guys look at diagrams, we retain more when we can see it when it's in our hand. Right, Peter? You hear a great song on the radio. A second later, you don't remember which song you listened to. Yeah. So if the paper documentation and giving them a reason to come back, we have a special, we have an incentive. If they have the paperwork at the time, maybe some color pictures of the guys who we deal with. you tie that in with service walks that are mandatory, where they get introduced. Take Doug's idea, have these guys wander up once in a while into no man's land, which is the sales department. Not only will they introduce themselves, but the other managers and salespeople will feel that it's a friendly face. So there's a lot of things we can do that don't cost us any money, but make us a lot of money.
You know, it's funny. When we developed our software way back when, like 12 years ago, the reason we added an accessory page on our software was we had a mini store. And if you remember, when you buy a Mini, you can't buy a Mini without buying your own accessories and customizing the hell out of that car. So they literally would just put a piece of paper in front of the customer and said, hey, by the way, we got this stuff. And customers just started picking stuff off, and they're like going, holy moly, we should make this mandatory, and we made it part of the software. And the fact is, yeah, if you just make an attempt, and to your point, Larry, I don't understand why there isn't a holistic view of selling the dealership, as opposed to I sell cars, or I sell service, or I sell parts. Why aren't we selling Larry Feldman Motors? We're your source for everything, and we're all in this together. I don't understand why that doesn't exist, because that solves so many things.
It's an upper management problem. In Virginia, Ohio, and California, and maybe some other states I'm not aware of, you can't write a referral check. It's illegal. But in states that you can, you wouldn't believe how many salespeople I talk to. How much bird dog have you, huh? Are you aware that 100, 150, some of these places are 200? Everybody wants that money, Doug. Billionaires drive their Bentleys across town to save 3 cents on a gallon of gas. And poor people need the 100 or 150 or 200. And every dealer should, it's the classic Macy's Gimbals thing. I know I'm wasting half of my advertising. I don't know which half. Well, the beauty of a bird dog or referral fee is you're not paying anybody till after the deal's done and cashed up. That should be, every dealer should be sitting with their GM every day and saying, are you pushing these guys to go out and let them know? My speech, Peter, was always, hey, do me a favor. If you know anybody half as nice as you, please send them in. It was such a pleasure earning your business. And by the way, I know you and me are not just about money, but there's $100 in it for you. Very shortly after your career starts in sales, you shouldn't have to be waiting on the door.
Well,
you should have advocates out there.
The fact is that, and we've certainly seen this manifested in a lot of stores. It seems like we veered off topic, but the fact is that if you have a great enough customer experience, you don't have to pay bird dogs, because they just come in anyway. The repeat and referral just flows because they're telling their friends already, and the friends are going, no shit, okay, I'm going there to that store. So, I mean, you combine the two. If you have an aggressive bird dog program, but you have a way that you're standing out organically, you're bound to just kill it.
Yeah, but you do both, Doug.
Away from parts.
You do both, Doug. You do both, because we always teach with them what's in it for me. Salespeople get into the field so they can make 150,000 or 200,000 and have health benefits and maybe become a manager. But every customer has to have a with them. Why should anybody buy this specific car at this specific dealership from you specifically? And I'm telling you, listen, I once got a thing from Mercedes-Benz, and it said, drive this car and you get a $50 Barnes & Noble. And I said to my wife, come on, we're going to Mercedes. She says, for what? You're a Cadillac dealer. I says, I don't care what I am. I want that $50 gift certificate. I'm a Barnes & Noble freak. So yeah, do it in a way where people repeat and refer you for free, but that doesn't mean you shut out the people that want and need it. You're giving them a reason. And then once that money's in their hand, and then if the people go back to them and say, boy, I'm glad you sent me in to see that Ian, he's great. Now it perpetuates itself.
Yeah, I mean, my gym has a monthly promotion where they give away something. It's usually something like clothing or audio. And this month, I think it's a chance to win something. But all they're doing is they're saying, we want customers, refer a customer to us, and we'll give you something. So is it the right thing? I don't know, but at least they're doing it consistently. And I think that's part of it. But more importantly, I just wanted to ask your thoughts on this. What's your thinking on parts contests or parts spiffs? I mean, I've never seen a parts contest like, buy a set of step bars and have an option to win, I don't know, free detail for your car or something. I don't know, but something where there's something in it for the customer. Like I've never seen a parts contest or even a parts like, we're having we're having a winter garage sale of all the parts that we got in inventory that nobody wanted, that we're blowing them out. Like when have you seen that? I've never seen that either. Pretty simple
Ian,
stuff.
customers are like salespeople and managers. Everybody works their pay plan. Everybody's looking for the incentive to do something.
Yeah. Well, we're almost out of time. Peter, did you have any final thoughts?
Yeah, I wanted to tag on what Doug said and Larry, because it's the team concept. And what I want to just share with the people that are on the call today listening, if you're going to NADA and you're going to be looking at all these new products, and you buy something new, whether it be a new marketing tool or a new social media or whatever it is that you buy, and all NADA, in my opinion, this year is going to be all AI this, AI that, all this great stuff. I was talking about, hey, with AI, you can do all these great things. Here's what I challenge you to do. When you buy that new product and you bring it back to the store and you're having your implementation meeting, instead of just having your general manager and your sales manager involved, bring your parts manager and your service manager into the meeting and have them share some information and give some incentives and ideas that they can tie into that tool. And now you're basically not just sending out messages for marketing about selling new cars or, we want to buy your trade-in and we want to do this, want to do that. Now we start having some service messages going out. We have some parts messages going out and some long-term messaging. Like I was saying, AI is phenomenal. All kinds of specials customized for the vehicles. I was looking at a software product the other day that literally does follow-up and knows what vehicle you have, and it's going to put a picture of that vehicle in the marketing piece, all done by AI. So the technology is there, but you're not going to be able to utilize it if you don't bring the service manager, the fixed ops director, and the parts manager into the implementation meeting. That's my recommendation for the day.
Oh, 100%. If you're going to be at NADA, I'll be at the Numa booth, as will Peter. If you want free breakfast and lunch, ask for Joel at VidCalls at Bagel Mania. It's on him. And of course, if you're looking to do an interview, you can definitely reach out to me at the Autohub Show or to Peter. We will have a new website for the show, and we'll have hats and shirts at no cost. So if you are looking for some free gear of high quality at the show, definitely stop by the Numa booth next to CDK. The price is right. It'll be free. Let me say that again. It'll be free gear from us. Doug, any final thoughts?
I would say that if you're going to go to NADA or anything, to me, the key is if you've got a product or something that you think is going to help me, what I want to know is, how are you going to make sure that my people will use it and that it ultimately is going to benefit my store? Because if you've got all the bells and whistles, but nobody's going to know how to use the bells and whistles, who gives a crap?
100%. Larry, you were a dealer and you probably bought some shiny bongles at NADA. You've been at NADA for a while. What's your advice to dealers when they ask you about NADA and buying stuff?
Keep it short, keep it sweet, and get it to the point. I have about an 8-second elevator pitch. Feldman, I heard of you. What do you do? Man, I can fill any position you need: sales, service, body shop, parts, the back office. If you need a title clerk or a mechanic, and I do great motivational training. That was about 7 or 8 seconds. We're way too long. And it's not just being a dealer anymore. Peter, I get people to call me and say, can you help me find a job? Be my pleasure. What do you do? After 18 minutes soliloquy, I still don't know what the hell they're talking about. Okay, it's got to be, this is what I do. This is why you need it. Here's how easy I am to reach. Next case. And dealers need to use every tool in their toolbox, because while I think 2026 is going to be a great year, it's going to be a tough year. Our competition is every different direction. To not be maximizing parts, service, everything, you got to be out of your mind.
100%. Thanks very much. We'll see everyone at NADA. I'll be in town next Monday. I'll be there till Saturday early morning. But if you do have time for an interview and you want to schedule it, just reach out to me directly. It's Ian at AutohubShow.com. Have yourself a great week. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you for helping the industry get better today live.
Good show.